Hi guys, Jay Nice on the mic. It's been a little while. So I wanted to talk to you guys about Black Panther. If any of you guys have not seen the movie, you probably want to stop this right now because there's going to be some spoilers in this video. So if you haven't seen the movie, just pause this, go out, watch the movie, and then come back and resume this video. So this is your last chance to get off this video if you have not seen this, the movie Black Panther, because like I said, there's gonna be some spoilers. Where do I even begin with Black Panther? I'm sure you guys just were feeling as excited about the movie as I was. I wasn't really that excited about it, hearing about it, because I didn't know a lot about Black Panther. I'm not into Marvel and the comic books and all that. But then I started reading about the story, and the weeks leading up to Black Panther, I was super excited. And I planned my outfit super last minute. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you've already seen what I wore to the premiere. But I think I'll insert a picture, but I actually wore an authentic Cameroonian dress from, I wore it at my grandmother's, sort of like a remembrance ceremony. My grandmother passed away in August of 2017, or in July of 2017, and my mom and I had this whole party remembrance ceremony for her. So I wore the dress then, and I thought it would be fitting and appropriate to wear it to the Black Panther premiere because it's just so vibrant and just it exudes black excellence, and it's dope. I love it. So it's probably one of my favorite African pieces that I have. So anyway, what did I think of Black Panther? So I had a whole list of notes in my phone, but I don't have that right now. So I'm going to go off the top of my dome. The first thing I really enjoyed about Black Panther was Killmonger. I love Killmonger's character. I feel like his character was metaphoric of black people, black Americans. So one of the themes in Black Panther was Africans versus blacks. And if you guys are familiar with my channel, you have seen the videos that I've made about the conflict, I guess you could say, or the issues between Black Americans and Africans/African Americans. If you haven't seen that video, I'm gonna link it somewhere above so you guys can click on it. But so Killmonger was this individual who was neglected as a child. His father was killed by Africans, and he has all of this anger for Africans, for the people of Wakanda, because he feels like, rightfully so, that his father was taken away from him. And so it's just so interesting because Killmonger has this whole idea that Wakanda should be using their resources to help the other black people in the world. And also, from my understanding, he wanted to take back the resources of Africans that was stolen from them. So sort of like attacking the colonizers and taking back what's ours and providing resources and refuge to black people in other parts of the world that don't have the resources of Wakanda. I also felt like Killmonger represented Malcolm X because his ideas and his way of life was more militant than the other characters in the movie. So Killmonger was very Black Panther, Black Power, taking back what's ours. And the people of Wakanda were very Martin Luther King Jr. They wanted peace. They felt like Wakanda should close its doors and close its resources to people who are not from Wakanda. And that was for safety purposes. My viewpoint is a mix of what Killmonger felt and how the people of Wakanda felt. So I really felt that if you have the resources and you're able to help people, you should. But I also understand that by helping other people in developing countries, you risk your own safety, and the safety of Wakanda was being risked. So I think that I preferred what the Wakandan people were doing and going into other parts of the world and sort of trying to help people. My viewpoint is sort of like a mix of Killmonger and the people of Wakanda. I totally agree that if you have the resources, you should be doing everything in your power to help your people and help other Black people, Africans, and help everyone. But by sort of revealing yourself, you are putting your country and your country's resources at risk. So if there was a way to help people in developing countries while also keeping the resources of Wakanda safe, I think that I would have been in favor of that. Michael B. Jordan played the hell out of Killmonger. He was like, at the end of the movie, I was so angry at him. I was like, oh my gosh, you are tearing the people of Wakanda apart. We are supposed to be coming together and using our resources and our firepower and our knowledge and becoming this superpower. But instead, the Wakandan people were fighting against each other. So it was just such an interesting dynamic and an interesting, it was just really interesting. I thought that the contrast was so necessary to sort of metaphorically show these are Black people and these are Africans. And I think that it was so reflective of how the state of our country is. I do feel like Africans have these perceptions of Black Americans. And I saw somebody comment and say, I was on somebody's photo on Facebook, and some girl, presumably Black, was saying that Africans sort of stick their noses up at Black Americans as if our experiences in this country are not easier because of Black Americans. And I do agree, because you know, I do agree that Africans have negative perceptions of Black Americans. And I feel like Black Americans also have very negative perceptions of Africans. I was on a picture, so somebody actually brought in fufu to the Black Panther premiere. For those of you guys who don't know, fufu is a very popular dish in West African countries. Nigerians eat fufu, we in Cameroon eat fufu, Ghanaians eat fufu, so it's a very popular dish. So somebody brought in, I don't even know why, like, people just do stuff just to be extra. Like, why are you bringing fufu? Is a very messy dish. Like, it has it's like pounded, it's like tapioca, I believe, or is it tapioca? Actually, I think it's cassava. So cassava is like sort of a vegetable, a white vegetable that we eat in Western Africa, and it's like mashed, and it kind of looks like mashed potatoes, and it's like fluffy, and you take it with your hand and you eat it with soup. So this guy brought fufu to the movie theater. He was doing all that. I think he was just doing it to go viral. So I was reading the comments underneath the video on Facebook, and this girl was like, ew, why would you do that? That food stinks. African food stinks. It was a Black girl. And these are the type of things that Africans experience. I think it's funny and it's ironic that, and I'm sorry, y'all, that this video is not organized. I'm just speaking off the top of my head and talking about a lot of different things. But I think it's funny that Black people want to take the parts of African culture that they like, but then sort of make fun of and denigrate the parts of African culture that they don't like. It's extremely disrespectful to make fun of and say that the food of Africans stink. First of all, you are African. We all descended from Africa. So technically, we are all African. You are African. So it's like, I would never say that somebody's native dish stinks. But she just was going on about how African food stinks. And the people on the thread were basically saying, like, sis, you're hilarious. I bet you're over here with your dashiki and your African print, and you're cool with letting African women braid your hair, but when it comes to African food, you're over here sort of disrespecting the culture. So these are the type of things that Africans and first generation Africans like myself had to experience. We go to school, we bring food that may be different from what the other kids have ever seen, and we get made fun of. You know, I was never called the African booty scratcher, but I know many people that were called African booty scratchers. People used to make fun of my parents' accents. So like, these are the type of things that I find to be funny, because it's like sometimes you almost feel like Black Americans like to celebrate only certain aspects of African culture, but they don't embrace all of it. And I feel like we are all one and the same. So by disrespecting and disgracing one part of the culture, I feel like you're disrespecting and disgracing all of the culture. So that, I thought that was funny. I love it though. I see people, I have one of my homeboys, he's Ghanaian, and he made a little Insta story, and he was like, I see y'all who used to make fun of me and call me African booty scratcher, now you rocking dashikis and all that. I see that too, but I love it. I love that people are now just starting to embrace and love African culture. I think it's a good thing. I think it can help us bridge our divide and the issues that we have, Black people and Africans and African Americans. I think that this is just the beginning. So I think that Killmonger's character was very interesting, because I feel like he represents the angry and I'm going to call him misguided, but he had misplaced anger, rightfully so. If I experienced that, or if any of us experienced that, we would probably, our reactions would be similar. You know, he had a lot of anger based on what happened to him as a kid. And I thought that was so interesting that we as Black people, I also saw another theme is that this crabs in a barrel mentality. You saw how he, after they gave him that little flower that was crushed, that sort of makes you hallucinate and have visions of your past and have visions with loved ones who've passed. After they gave him that and he came back to life, he told one of the Wakandan women to burn all the flowers, which I thought was really, really funny, because it's like he doesn't want anybody else to have that experience. He doesn't want anybody else. He thinks he's the king and that's it. And I think that that's so prevalent in the Black community, is this like crabs in a barrel, in a bucket mentality, where it's like, there can only be one person at the top. It's my way or the highway. I think there's a way for them to have come together, which at the end of the movie, that's what ended up happening, is that they sort of tried to open up Wakanda. They built that science center. So it's like they sort of are using Wakandan resources to help Black people, and you know, they built it in Oakland to help Black people, but it's like, I feel like they could have merged their interest rather than Killmonger feeling like it's my way or the highway. And within the Black community, I think sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot and we don't work together and we don't work cohesively, and it ends up dividing all of us. I think if every single Black leader came together and we sort of sat and tried to use our commonalities to build a stronger Black community, then we would be unstoppable. But instead, you see, you know, Black leaders fighting with, you know, I see, what are these people's names? Umar Johnson fighting with Tariq Nasheed, fighting with, there's so many, just like, why can't we all come together? All of us, you know, nobody's ever going to agree on every single thing, but you can't be like taking shots at people and being petty, like as adults, you know, and that's a whole nother story. But I just felt like the movie was so representative of how sometimes we as Black people behave, is that we try to tear each other down and tear each other apart, and we don't recognize and realize that everyone has important things to bring to the table. Even if I don't agree with you, even if you are a Black Republican and I don't agree with anything that you say, there is one or two things that we have in common. And I think that as people, our differences are so insignificant compared to our similarities. Especially as Black people, our experiences are so similar. So I feel like it was so representative of this like crabs in a bucket mentality, and how as Black people we cannot come together. We just are over here. Some people are over here, some people are over here. I love that part. Another part that I loved was the strength of the soldiers, the female army, all female army. Yes, all badass, bald, chocolate women. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I also love, speaking of chocolate, that I didn't see anybody that looked like me in the movie, because I'm tired of seeing movies where Zoe Saldana is playing Nina Simone. Like, there's so many talented dark skin and chocolate brown skin actresses that is so baffling that they keep using the same people and blackfacing them and coloring their skin darker, when there are so many talented actors and actresses out there. So I love that in the movie. To my knowledge, there was only one non-Black person that stands out in my mind, which was the officer. And then I think and also the villain, the guy with the tattoo that Killmonger actually killed. I forgot about him, but pretty much other than that, like the entire cast was like, a lot of them were African, which I loved, and then they were primarily dark skinned, which I loved. And I feel like it's a celebration of darker skin tones and things that need to be celebrated in Hollywood. You don't see a lot of movies where you see a Black lead that's a chocolate woman with natural hair. I love the natural hair. I love the baldness. I love, one of my favorite parts of the movie was, and y'all gonna have to excuse me because I only saw the movie once, so the names have slipped my mind. But so the general, you know, the woman that played the general, who was dating Daniel Kaluuya, who played in Get Out. I loved near the end where she was like, if it's between you and Wakanda, I will choose Wakanda every day, because she was loyal. She was loyal, some might say to a fault. She was loyal to the throne. And, you know, she was like, I'm loyal to Wakanda, you know. And it was like, he had a knife, she had a knife. I thought, were they gonna fight each other? But it's like Daniel Kaluuya's character just bowed down to her and kneeled, and I thought that was so beautiful. I love the fact that young Black kids can see themselves in these characters. Representation is so important. Another part that was my favorite, which I'm sure you guys love too, was where Killmonger said, and I know y'all know what I'm about to say, at the very end, before he died, he was like, Killmonger said, throw my body in the ocean to be with my ancestors. I'd rather be dead and free than alive and in bondage. Yes, 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 yes. I was up in the theater like, yes. Yeah, that was the top. That was my favorite line of the movie. Favorite line of the movie. I love that. And my mom saw the movie, and my mom was like, why didn't, you know, she called me and she was telling me about the movie. She's like, she didn't get that whole part. She's like, why didn't they save him? And I'm like, he said, don't save me. He said, he stuck the knife into himself deeper. And he's basically like, you know, throw me in the ocean so I can be with my ancestors. He said, don't save me. You know, and if they saved him, I don't know if I would even trust him. But that's just me. Would y'all have saved him? I don't know. If he didn't want to even be alive and he said, let me be with my ancestors, I probably would have let him be with his ancestors. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What are some other themes that you saw in the movie? This video is getting mad long, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. But pretty much, I love the metaphors. I felt like Killmonger represented the Black American that has a lot of anger, that has, has a father figure who is not in his life. I thought that Killmonger also brought in this other theme of, you know, this more militant, like, we should be attacking the colonizer and we should take back what's rightfully ours. And, you know, contrasted that with sort of like being more meek. So the Malcolm X versus the Martin Luther King character. There was also this Black versus African type of theme that was also in there. Another theme that I forgot to mention was immigration. So there was also this reluctance to let Killmonger in and let other people who are not Wakandan into the country because they were a threat to the country's resources, to the country's privacy. So I also saw themes of immigration in the movie. There was so much. There was a lot of issues that we experienced within the Black community within the movie. It wasn't really about racism, which I loved. It wasn't like blacks versus whites. It was like issues that we as Black people experience, and how do we sort of transcend these issues? How do we move past it? Is working together. That tribe, I don't know their names, but they remind me of the Qs. That tribe that came in at the end and helped the Wakandan people, that was beautiful. He didn't want to help. He didn't want to help them, but at the end they decided to combine their resources and to help them. So ultimately, I think what I took away from the movie is that even if we have differences of opinion, everybody has something of value to bring to the table. We just have to be willing to listen to each other, listen to each other's perspective, and just try to work together somehow. So I want to know, first of all, what did you guys take away from the movie? What your favorite parts of the movie were? I think that I'm going to try to watch the movie for a second time. The first time, it was like amazing. I was in the city. I watched it in New York City. So I love that energy. But now I want to watch it in like sort of a smaller theater. I always think it's funny when you watch a Black movie with Black people. It's a different experience. But I want to watch it like in a smaller theater. Maybe not in New York City, and just because I'm sure there's things that I missed and I didn't pick up. But I want to know what you guys thought, who your favorite character was. Who was my favorite character? Probably the general, whose name I've forgotten, but Daniel Kaluuya's girl in the movie, the general is what I'm going to call her, but she was probably my favorite, or Lupita's character. So let me know. I'm just all over the place. Let me know what you guys thought, who your favorite character was. What are some other themes that you guys picked up from the movie, whether they were related to Black Americans or Black culture or not? What are some other themes that you picked up in the movie, and what are you hoping to see in the future? I just think that this is like kicking the door open for other Black directors, other Black actors and actresses to have a seat at the table. So I'm so happy for the success of the movie. This is the first movie that I've seen in probably 2 or 3 years. Since, when did Straight Outta Compton come out? In 2016, right? Or Straight Outta Compton came out 2015. And that was the last time I saw a movie in the movie theater. And so I was like, I have to pay for this movie. And it hurt my pockets because 2 tickets at the movies are like in New York City is $17. It was $34 for movies. I bought water. Water was $5. $40 for 2 movie tickets. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. This video is super long, but I hope you guys found some value out of it. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.